Welcome back. House Republicans worked through the weekend on a so-called compromise immigration bill, bucking President Trump's advice on Friday to stop, quote, wasting their time on the issue until after the midterms, when Trump says more Republicans will be elected. The fruits of their weekend labor remain uncertain, but House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy promised on Fox News this morning that there will be a vote on the compromise legislation this week.
There will be a vote this week, and not only will it put the money forward for the wall, it will tie any immigration proposal going forward to the money for the wall, that it has to be built, it has to be built. It will end catch and release. It will go to a merit-based system for immigration, and it will deal with the DACA situation.
But with the president's support far from certain, Republicans in Congress who already saw one immigration bill fail last week are already bracing for this bill to fail as well, with one source telling Axios over the weekend, while leaders were supportive of both bills, there was never an expectation that either bill would be able to pass. We expressly never pledged passage, just the process and the effort. Joining me now is Congressman Leonard Lance, Republican of New Jersey. Congressman, welcome back to the show. Well, let me ask you, so McCarthy is saying, your leader is saying, a vote this week. Okay, if there's a vote, is something going to pass this week?
I hope so, Steve, and of course I'm working to that end. Only time will tell, but I think we should work on this issue, and I think we should work on it now, and I favor a path to citizenship for the Dreamers.
Well, when the president last week, because he came and visited your fellow House Republicans last week, and supposedly we were told in advance of that he was going there in part to rally Republican support to get something passed, maybe to get it passed last week. And then, of course, one of the bills gets pulled, and now here we are. Talk about, if you would, what effect did the president coming out and saying, hey, Republicans, don't bother with this? What effect did that have on your colleagues?
I think that the president should have said that we should pass the bill, and that's the end toward which I'm working. And I disagree with the president when he said that we should wait until after the election. I think that time is of the essence, and that is why we should continue to work on it. Steve, I did not vote for the more conservative bill, the Goodlatte bill. 41 Republicans did not vote for it. I was in that group, and I favor the compromise legislation, and I am working to that end. And I know that Jeff Denham of California and Carlos Curbelo of Florida are working very hard on this.
But that gets to it, I think. There's that divide within your party. You say you voted against the Goodlatte bill. You're working towards this compromise bill. To get this so-called compromise bill through, it seems that Republican leaders, folks like you who want to pass it, are going to have to get some hesitant Republican members on board to do it. And that's why I'm asking you, when Trump comes out and says don't bother, is that giving license to those hesitant Republican members to say, yeah, you know what, it's not worth going out on a limb as I perceive it on this?
That may very well be the case, and that's why I disagree with the president. I think that we should work on this issue now and not wait until the November elections. And I would hope, Steve, that Democrats could join us, and if not on this issue, certainly on the issue of the children. I have become a co-sponsor of a bill sponsored by Brendan Boyle of Philadelphia on that issue. That is a separate issue, but certainly it's related to the larger whole.
Well, and let's talk about that, because part of your legislation there, part of your solution, you say, to this issue of the children and the families at the border is to hire more judges to process this more quickly. You have the president over the weekend, and again, he reiterated it today in front of reporters in the White House. He says, I do not want to hire these judges. First of all, he's saying I don't want to hire 5,000 judges. He's also saying I don't want to hire judges at all. Do you get a sense where he's getting the number 5,000 from? Is that anything like what you're calling for? And again, is he basically destroying your proposal right there with what he's saying?
There are about 350 immigration judges at the moment, Steve. I think we should double the number to 700. Senator Cruz and Senator Feinstein are working together on that issue over in the Senate. I believe that they're working toward doubling the number to 700. I favor that, and if that legislation passes in the Senate, and it could pass, given the fact that this is being sponsored by a Republican and a Democrat, then I think we should take that bill up in the House. I favor due process of law. As you know, Steve, I am an attorney, and I would like to double the number of immigration judges to roughly 700.
Have you had any contact, any communication with the White House on specifically what their reservations are and if there's any way to address it?
I personally have not, but I'm sure our leadership has, and I hope that the president will support a compromise if it is put forth by Senator Cruz and Senator Feinstein. And I think it's a hopeful sign that you have Ted Cruz and Dianne Feinstein working together on this issue.
You say you're an attorney who favors due process. So when the president is out there saying, you know, we don't need these judges, we need an enforcement that's going to find these people, turn them away, and send them back quickly, are you saying that the president's out there advocating a violation of due process?
I think due process is best served by having adjudicatory bodies, and from my perspective, Steve, that requires increasing the number of immigration judges significantly. I think that we can do that, and I hope we do it in a bipartisan fashion.
Are the president's comments, though, on that, when he talks about sending folks away, as he does, are those consistent with due process?
I think due process requires having an adjudicatory process, and I would urge the president to support that.
Changing gears here, something we talked about earlier in the show, but I want to get you to weigh in on it a little bit, because we've had this conversation about civility. This is something that's been going on since the president launched his campaign 3 years ago. It's been a constant with him. Now there's the issue, Sarah Huckabee Sanders at that restaurant. Then Congresswoman Maxine Waters makes those statements. Then President Trump comes on Twitter and cranks it up even further. Now, one of your colleagues there, one of your Republican colleagues there in the House, Marsha Blackburn, running for the Senate in Tennessee, she's trying to fundraise. She's trying to raise money for her campaign off of Republican anger about what Maxine Waters said, Republican anger about that restaurant incident with Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Is that an appropriate thing for a candidate for office to be doing?
I am critical of what Maxine Waters said. I know the Congresswoman, and I have served with her on the Financial Services Committee before I moved to the Energy and Commerce Committee, but I thought those were very unfortunate remarks. And as you know, Steve, I lead by example. I try to be civil with everyone, with those who support me, with those who do not support me. I've been critical of the president where I do not believe he has been civil, and I'm certainly critical of the situation regarding the restaurant in Northern Virginia. And with statements back and forth, I think we need greater civility on both sides. And that is the way I have always conducted myself, and it's the way I will continue to conduct myself.
Does it mean, the question it raises, though, is Marsha Blackburn is running for the Senate and clearly seems to perceive by these actions a political benefit in fanning these flames a little bit, getting Republican voters upset about the treatment of Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Is there a line that Republicans, that your party should be drawing here in terms of saying, hey, we don't like X that the other side is doing, but we shouldn't be trying to politicize it further?
I am critical of what happened in Northern Virginia. I think it was inappropriate, and I think that dinner should have been served, and I don't see why it was not served.
But is it appropriate to raise money for a campaign off that?
I think that that's a decision for Marsha Blackburn, but I'm certainly critical of the fact that Ms. Huckabee was not served, and I think that lacks civility. I agree that there has been lack of civility in some of the president's tweets, and I think that all sides should be civil, Steve, and that is why I lead by example, and that is why I am always civil and will continue to be moving forward in a direction that I think is in the best interest of the nation, and that requires civility on all sides.
All right, Congressman Leonard Lance, Republican from New Jersey, thanks for the time.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Beat the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.